quickly move to the next. The next is not very far, it's also a son, but also a very powerful one, not the one that I need to introduce, but I will try. Dr. Simon Kigondu is my friend, and is also the Secretary General for many things, but one, Kenya Medical Association for now, and then is in the council of this Oluga outreach, what we usually KMPDU. So you see, if you see what's toy, including myself, they have included me, so I know how to jump, so then you know that I'm there. But apart from that, he's a renowned obstetrician specialist, and that's why I want to introduce him in that light. And apart from that, he also runs some group for the ladies. It's called what? This shape. Hercules. Do you know where Hercules is? You better find out when he finishes. He has his cards, he can dish them out. He has worked in Kenya from Isiolo to everywhere, back to Kenyatta, and now standing next to me. You can take the opportunity to continue introducing yourself. Welcome. Can we have
Thank you very much. It's after lunchtime, and I knew I would have this, so I'll move very fast. Short case, straightforward discussion, so that we can also listen to the other cases. When they asked me what I wanted to present, I said, let me just do a case of fibroids, because this we see every day in our place. We have a lot of fibroids. So I'll be very fast. So I think you can go ahead. So here we have LMW. LW is a 32-year-old female who we saw at a private clinic in Murang'a County. Murang'a is a town which is 80 kilometers from Nairobi in Central Province, and there is no lack of food in Murang'a. The people there are very healthy. She presented with vaginal bleeding, and the bleeding was heavy and in clots. And she also said she was feeling an abdominal swelling. She was feeling something is swollen in her tummy. She also occasionally experienced low abdominal pains, and she reported to have been treated for what she called fibroids at a local mission hospital in Nairobi. Yeah, that's how good we are. When they are tired of Nairobi, they come to Murang'a. Yeah. In her OBS history, she was a para 0 plus 0. For those who are non-medics, that means she had never gotten pregnant. And she had no history of use of contraception, and she did not know when her last period was, because she was having continuous bleeding by the time we saw her. In her past medical history was not dramatic. No history of previous surgery, no known allergies, and she had no history of a blood transfusion, surprisingly, for what she had, and she had no history of other chronic illness. And her family social history, she lived in Kasarani. Kasarani is a suburb in Nairobi, and she was a business lady. She grew up in Keriaine in Murang'a County. Keriaine is one of the sub-counties in Murang'a, so she grew up there. She did not smoke cigarettes or drink alcohol, but of note is that her mother was diabetic, hypertensive, and her mother had had a hysterectomy. That means her uterus had been removed earlier due to fibroids, but her mother already had 3 children, of whom she was one of them. She was the only girl. She had 2 brothers. The pelvic ultrasound doesn't look clear, but it's dark. When they did the ultrasound, shows hypoechoic areas, showed a bulky uterus, multiple low echo mass seen in the uterine cavity. The largest, they say, measured 6 by 7 centimeters, and there was no endometrial lesion that was seen. There was no fluid in the pouch of Douglas. So a conclusion of multiple uterine fibroids was made. Before workup, we worked her up. Her blood was 12.5. The urea electrolytes were normal, and the random blood sugar was also normal, 5.6. So of course we made an impression of symptomatic uterine fibroids, and we scheduled her for myomectomy. Myomectomy is removal of the fibroids after you make a diagnosis, and the reason for this is because she wanted to have children in future. And the reason we decided to operate on her is because these fibroids were causing her problems, symptoms. I'm an advocate for universal health coverage, and therefore in the rural area, we have to do such things as pre-authorization. Pre-authorization is when people don't have money, but they have the NHIF card that was promised to bring universal health cover. We did a pre-authorization. This is prior to, and some of you are having problems with NHIF claims currently, yes?
Yes.
Prior to, sorry, go back here. We did a pre-authorization, and this was approved 10 days after our approval. So 10 days later, usually we tell the mother, go home. When NHIF calls to say they can cover some of the costs, we called you. So 10 days later, she got approval, and we called her, and she came for surgery. So a summary of her hospital stay was that she had a 6-day hospital stay. Upon admission, we did the pre-surgical investigations and review, and all normal. She was consented for myomectomy and general anesthesia, and she starved overnight, and we did it early the next morning. So the operating team, this is significant. I'm the lead surgeon there, Dr. Kigondu, on this gentleman here is called Dr. Njatha. Dr. Njatha was a medical officer in Moranga as an intern, as a medical officer, and now he's doing his post-Cosexa surgery in Thika, yeah? And this was earlier this year. Dr. Nduta is currently my medical officer in obstetrics and gynecology in Moranga. And that's why I'm able to be here, because she's a gynecologist literally, yeah? Yeah, so this is what you do to be able to present in conferences, eh? You make sure everyone else can do. It's very important. We'll come to that. Continue. So the operating procedure is a straightforward one. We put the patient under general anesthesia, lithotomy catheterized, the vulvovaginal toilet was done with Vitamin. This is significant, is important, because some past experiences have shown that if you don't do vulvovaginal toilet, you can easily get sepsis in even those you are thinking it's only a myomectomy. We have some experience on that, so it's good to do that. Supine, clean, draped abdomen was open. We did a subumbilical midline incision. Over the few years, I've worked in both places. The decision of incision in the rural area is dependent on many things, including the fact that she may have like 10 children, that's not there, and things like that. And the people who will do the CS later will be interns and things like that. So also I'm just bringing that aspect for you Nairobi people who have... So, I don't know whether that is clear. This was the operating team. As you can see my team there, this was the distorted uterus with all forms of fibroids. So the one that was said to be 7 centimeters is probably that. And my diagram there, before they used to have photos, as you can see, I am quite an artist. So there you have many fibroids and things like that. So the uterus had many fibroids of various sizes. The fallopian tubes were normal, very normal. And the other abdominal viscera was normal. So what did we do? We placed a tourniquet. A tourniquet, we use, I think it's called a catheter, and urinary catheter at the infundibulopelvic ligament. And to ligate the uterine vascular bundles, we used 2 incisions, an anterior, posterior, exactly in the midline, vertical, anterior and posterior. And we removed 50 fibroids. Yeah, we removed 50 fibroids. And we identified the different planes, but we removed the different fibroids using the 2 incisions, just anterior and posterior. The incisions were closed in layers, the tourniquet was removed, we clamped the remaining bleeders, and the hemostasis was achieved. Swab and instrument count was declared correct, the abdomen closed, wound dressed, and we had reversal of general anesthesia. So, yeah, those are the 50 fibroids. And we took them exactly like that. As you can see, they are of various sizes, and It's called Leave No Fibroid Behind. That's how we do it. Moving from. So postoperatively she did well. We did the usual vital signs, analgesics, antibiotics, intravenous fluids, oral sips, light diet. She took after 12 hours. Ambulate as fast as possible to avoid these people of pelvic surgery. You don't want them to get clots. We gave her some stool softeners and she was fine. Next. She had a ward stay. Postoperatively, she recovered very well. Within normal limits, by the second postoperative, she was ambulant, and by the fourth day, she was fit for discharge. Postoperative clinical results, I saw her 2 weeks later, and the wound was healed. The uterus was inverted. She still said, 4 weeks later, she had gotten her menses back, and they said they were light. She reported that they were lighter, and her wound was healed, and she was back to normal life. The histology was reported as uterine myomas of the 50 fibroids. It was a good histology. The size ranged from 10 millimeters to 60 millimeters. Yeah, she's still searching for, not a baby, a man. And she's well with regular menses. The reason we continue. Fibroids and genetics. So the discussion is a quick, out of that case I just always bring up. So what are the risks, the factors associated with fibroids, for instance? We saw that Ellen's mother had similar fibroids and underwent hysterectomy. The only commonalities between her and her mother is the genetics, where they lived, and the food they ate. So is there a relationship between fibroids and genetics, food, and location? Those are food follows. I previously worked in Isiolo District Hospital, and in my 5 years there, I think I did 2 hysterectomies. You get 2, for fibroids, 2. A lot of them were prolapse, you get what I mean? So again, the location, the difference between where they are. Yeah, continue. Ability to pay towards UHC. After making the diagnosis, as we said, we had to do pre-authorization, and the surgery was performed 13 days later. So as Kenya attempts to achieve universal health coverage, surgical packages have been very useful for patients who are previously unable to access specialized care, such as the myomectomy that was done. And you can see the effect of making them possible not to have to pay, and you have some form of insurance for them to, otherwise you continue carrying those fibroids, and we've seen some fibroids where by the time she would come back, she would probably be term, you know, with that, yeah. So I think it's important for this particular case to see the link between the universal health coverage as envisaged in UHC and good health, yeah, and not going into financial, yeah. Because she might not have been able, that's why she ran away from Nairobi to Murang'a, you know, thinking it's cheaper, but we probably gave her an option. She may not feel, the cost may have actually been the same, but she was able to be treated, and the doctor was also able to be paid, because they should not think the doctor is the UHC. You know, a lot of times they think not paying the doctor is UHC. Yes, no, you have to get a platform on which the doctor can actually get paid, which NHIF, I think, is the way to go, and some reforms are being done on that area. How many fibroids can be removed? I don't know. 50 were my highest. Actually, umetoa ngapi highest? We have senior gynecologists here. I don't think you have reached 50.
Yeah.
I
have done more than that.
Ah, okay.
And we have children, many.
Thank you. Daktari here is my teacher, and yeah, but I think 50. I think after him, there is no one else. Hata Yamal umetoa 50. Ah, good. So how many fibroids can be removed? So we attempt to remove all of them, because you never know which one of those, yeah? And an attempt should be made to remove. That's what 50 is the highest. You have had 87, Daktari there has had more. There have been cases where myomectomy, when the client goes back for an ultrasound, is told, kuna ka fibroid hapo, then they start thinking the doctor is useless, you see? So that's what you need to attempt to do. The recurrence rate of fibroids was reported as 15%, but that would take about 10 years, you know, about that, if you have removed that. So what incisions to be made? With the experience, you'll find that the incision to be made is determined by the gynecologist. But there are some which say, obviously the principles are these: avoid the fallopian tubes, you want to avoid fat, and now the posterior ones, you want to avoid adhesions, because the posterior wall is thinner. So There are people like Bonnie who said you can do in transverse incision and try to remove. But the incision made you incision. As we made 2 incisions, one in front, one behind, because we couldn't avoid it, but we removed all 50 fibroids through those 2 incisions, and we closed through one. And you try to close so that there is no myometrial tissue exposed to the outside to form adhesions. Bonnie Hood is one of those. They tried to remove posterior fibroids from anterior. Next. Hemostasis, again, the debate is out there. When fibroids are many, vasopressin is unavailable, like in Moranga, vasopressin, those are words that might not. Then the tourniquet works very well. The debate is out there on whether it should be intermittent, how long do you put the tourniquet, but time that. But myomectomy is a very bloody operation if you do not have a form of hemostasis, and there are many ways. So out there we generally use a tourniquet, intermittently open it to perfuse the ovary, and it has had good outcomes. Next. So the future of the patient, again, she calls me, she's fine, she hasn't got a boyfriend. I think some of the lessons is that ladies need to lower their bar on the status of men that they need, because ukianza kusema tall, dark, handsome, doctor, you never get it. So, but she's had reduction of symptoms, she's very happy, and the uterus is there. Thank you very much.
I am very powerful. What are you going to do before we ask you questions? Or you want to answer them from there? I can see a hand there. It's time for questions from my